Kevcos at Kevco. We're going to be talking about this 46-pound pack in just a minute. See ya. Hi, I'm Kevin McKenzie, known as Kevco. A number of people I've met traveling had said, I like the way you pack your pack. Why don't you make a video about that and put it on YouTube? So, okay, that's what we'll do. So, you can travel with a lot of different packs, and I have several different ones. For this particular trip to South America, I might be flying into Colombia, Peru, Bolivia, maybe down Chile, Argentina. So within there, I'm going to be experiencing a lot of different temperature extremes, and I also like to do a lot of different things, bicycle riding and hiking and camping and so on and so forth. So this particular pack reflects a forthcoming trip of about 2 months in duration. All right, day pack. We'll get into that in a minute. This is the 28-inch Osprey. It's a pretty good pack. It's worked well for me for a number of different trips. Comes out, it's a roller. But of course, it's also a convertible. So, in here, you can also keep stuff. I keep this harness system, which I may have shown you previously, and a hydration pack, but there's also titanium tent stakes and a whole 4-pound ultralight tent in there, which is a big Agnes UL2, which is what I find about the lightest, easiest little tent to travel with. So that's that portion. Coming over here to the main pack, the main event. Coming in across here. Popping open the top, and I'll go all the way. Normally I don't even unzip it all the way because it's kind of a pain to get the sleeping bag part in there, but as long as we're here, we'll come back to that in a second. I'm also going to take this opportunity to take this yoga mat and do a yoga exercise. No, actually we're going to prop that up so you can see what's going on here. Now, they got these straps. You usually see them going straight across, but it's my experience it just doesn't hold stuff as well when you do that. I like to cross them personally, and then if you change the lengths of where they hit, you don't hit each other in the hands. Pretty simple. In here, well, on the sides, I keep basically, better to see it this way, but here is one set of shoes. Here's its opposite. When I pack them, I curve them down so that it fits in there, and they fit in just so, and you put the dirtiest surfaces together, yada yada. So this is the Eagle Creek packet system. They got larger ones, but this one works pretty good, and in it you can put 7 shirts. Count them, 7. Of course, I could be off. So 1 shirt for going out and about on the town. It's going to get cold. This trip, as I say, is going from extremes. It's going to get mountains and elevation and cold, so you got to have some warm layer in there. T-shirts, love to have them, but I'll buy more when I get there. Except for like shirts like this one is a Omni Chill with a jade in it. It cools, and it really kind of works. This is a long sleeve insect shield shirt by Rail Riders, real good, and it works for about 70 washings. Ex officio hoodie is a real good thing to have for the sun or water, anything like that if you're fair skinned and you're remotely concerned about skin cancer. And to that end, Mountain Hardware has one that, in addition to the collar, it's got an extra little doubled flip up to keep you from getting fried on those hot days. And to that end, we have then just the basic flannel shirt, and that is a luxurious loadout. Now, I've done the 22-inch pack and the 3 shirts and the 2 pairs of pants and the 2 pairs of undies for months at a time, and yeah, I prefer this way. I prefer to carry more, and I'll come up with some way to make it a little easier to carry, but one way is not to pack so much. So it's all compromises. Everything you're going to do packing is going to be a compromise all the time. So in here is toiletries, your basic toiletries kit. This could probably get pared down a little bit, but hey, you got shampoo, you got replaceable soaps that you can lose in public showers, you got your toothbrushes, your Band-Aids, yada, 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 all that stuff is all good. Over here, I like to have a couple, this is mountain khakis, a couple of zip-offs. That's not a bad one. The gray is pretty good color. It doesn't get dirty so quick. This particular set is an ex officio, and it has this, again, the bug repellent stuff. I should be going to the Amazon. But these breathe really well, really light, nice white pants. So for this particular trip, I went for Primaloft, you know, these modernistic bags. And this was like a 2-pound bag, I think. And yeah, it's a Katahdin 35-degree regular mummy. And this particular one, it's a pretty good bag. But in there, I also keep a down vest. One of the nice things about the down vest was, we'll come back to this, let that puff out for a second. Because everything that you have with you should have more than one use, if at all possible. So now the sleeping bag's still got plenty of room in there, and that's pretty good. Usually if I have my druthers and I'm not really planning on doing anything extreme, unlike this trip, that I will just take like an REI travel sack, just enough for hostels, because that's where you want to be. That's the most fun. So that's that. Here's a hat for me, sombrero. Normally, that's what I'm wearing all the time when I'm on the road, because it keeps the stuff off you. Now, in the airport, you're going to be a little chilly, but it's also nice to have something lightweight, kind of stylish for just around town. So in that respect, you're going to have yourself a nice jacket to break the wind, and you know, kind of like, hey, cool, I'm going out. It's cool. So once you have that one with you, you generally don't have to worry. However, now, should you be going out at late at night, you want something with really, really reflective. This is an Illuminite one. It's in certain lights, it'll glow really brightly and hopefully save your life when you're walking in some places where people who have the larger vehicle seem to feel they have the right of way. Going down a little further to the sleeping bag, a silk travel liner, 100% premium silk. It's a good one. Not as stretchy. Coolmax makes one, but it's bigger, and it's the only problem. I like the Coolmax one better because it's stretchier and easier to sleep in, but this will work. It's small. Like I say, compromises. Next, coming up here too, another pair of rail riders, really heavy-duty ones. Can cinch down at the ankles when you're in nasty stuff. And these are supposed to be the toughest clothes on the planet, what they say. That one survived a number of trips so far. I like the stuff. I've even been on their catalog. So, this is a North Face. Now this is a North Face, pretty good pack. I like a pretty good pair of shorts. I like these pockets because usually when I travel, I'm a little concerned about safety. So a lot of times when I'm traveling, I'll have something with me to put in the pocket here. Anyhow, a knife or setting up. Something of that nature will usually clip in there for me that's at my hand. Now this is a Leatherman Skeletool, pretty good all-around tool. It doesn't have the file, and the saw is the only drawback with that one. So one pair of shorts, good to have. You got the zip-offs for the other stuff if you need. Oh, well, maybe 2 pairs, okay. So 2 pairs, real stretchy, real comfy, good for bus rides in hot climates. That one's better for out and about. Okay, and 1 pair of swimming trunks. Now you're saying that's a lot of stuff. Can't anything double up? Well, you know, it could, but again, going for a couple months, you want some variety. You want to mix it up a little bit. It's going to get cold, so for that instance, thin slit hat, good to have. Ooh, the Patagonia long undies, Capeline, comfy, and they're good underneath any of these layers like this. And you can also, if it's cold in the hostel, you can wear them around as PJs you need to. Okay, getting down a little further in the pack, in the corners and crevices is a Cedar Summit inflatable air mattress, which you can go online and check this out. But this is ultra light, and the things are really comfortable. Tried a lot of them, I have several, but this one's small, R factor of 0.7. I've got bigger ones. The next bigger set is like a 2.7. I got the bigger Thermarest, but again, it's compromise. It's what's in your pack, what's going to fit. So if it does get really cold and nasty, well then, good to have one of these. The compromise is to carry one of these Sol outdoor emergency bivvies, which you can, it's just basically one of these space blankets in a tube that you crawl into, cut the wind and whatnot. So coming a little further, we've got some gator clips. And these, I'll show you in just a second, that you can use. They're in a nice package there, but I'll show you how you can use them to take the harness that's on this pack, attach it to the day pack, and have a real decent pack for carrying for overnighters into the bush. So over here is a pretty good thing. Here's a clock. The clock also has settings on it so that if you turn it on, you can have a flashlight, or if you put it on this thing, when you pick it up, it'll turn on and off. So if you have it down on the deck, it shuts off. You pick it up, it turns on in the night. You press the little dial on top, and it can illuminate, and you can see what time it is in the dark. Good to have, a little case, handy thing. You never know. Okay. Also, you might get hungry out there. So in this, I keep a little cookware set, titanium. Whole thing is not too terribly heavy. Let's see if you can still reach me over here. If you put the whole thing on the scale, which is good to have a scale handy when you're packing, right now I have 14 ounces. Right there, 14 ounces of stuff. I guess I was out of the camera shot, I apologize. So here's a frying pan lid. This is a stove right here, a little tiny, tiny stove. Drawback is that you got to get the cylinder when you arrive because you can't fly with it. But it has an igniter in there and everything else. It's a whisper light, MSR whisper light. Pretty good little stove. Little emergency single malt scotch because you just never know, and it fits in there. And a little teeny tiny scrubby pad. And in case you want to go have a cup of coffee or something, you have silicone guards that you can put on here, so your lips don't get scalded by the hot coffee. You can still make your hot coffee, yada yada, and of course another little pocket. So that works pretty good as a little kit to have with you when you're out and about. And if you just take a second more, you can actually pack the thing back up. But we'll get to that later. Moving on. So somewhere in your pack you want to have really accessible if it starts to rain stuff. So that's when we get over to here in the top. Right here in this pocket on here, it has an option. So in here I've got a nice pair of rain pants, Gore-Tex comfy ones, yada yada. And then the hard part is picking the jacket. I got half a dozen jackets that I picked up at various places. And the only one that was really waterproof that withstood the test of being in the shower was this North Face, which North Face was nice enough to give it to me after the previous one I had. I went on one of these boats under the waterfalls, Iguazu, that's twice as high as Niagara, and just blasted down on you. They take you right in there on the inflatable boat, knock the Gore-Tex right off the jacket. North Face said, oh, we'll give you another one. They gave me another one. Good company. So, moving on. Now, when you got to have the tunes, you got to have your mini jam box with you. You know, I mean, you got to have tunes happening for you. So over here, oh, okay, yeah. I said we're going Amazon. I don't normally bring this. I don't want you to think that I'm Jake the Killer, but this is a particularly interesting one by Cold Steel. It's basically, it's a knife, but the whole thing only weighs about 12 ounces. See how thin it is, and it's a pretty good chopper, cutter, knife. Also, you can attach it to a pole, hiking staff, whatnot, and make yourself a spear should you actually need to cut some tall fruit or something. It also comes complete with a flint, so you could start fires in an emergency. And I put a stainless steel screw there that's the right diameter to put in here should you actually need to use the thing for whatever. But you know, unless the plane goes down in the jungle, it's unlikely that that's even going to see much use other than chopping vegetables. So I usually have a different ceramic knife for that. I very carefully weighed it, and I took that one instead. So it's really tough compromises. Now this is actually kind of fun. This is something to stick in your pocket when you're going out and about, because this is a backpack. It's made by Sea and Summit. Whole backpack will carry all kinds of junk for you. So that's not a bad thing to have for when you're at the markets, because sometimes you pick up and cook your own food. It's a good way to save money at the hostels. Socks, pair of shorties, pair of regs. All the rest are 5 pairs of these darn tough merino wool socks that wear great, and they just hardly even smell. Antibacterial, whatnot, natural property of wool. I like to keep a tumbler lock with me, and this is good to keep wire rope with you, which you'll see in one of these packs. So you can wrap through your pack and lock it if you just got to run into a store for a second and you're keeping an eye on it. That's good. Also good for your dorm lockers and bicycles if you rent some. So good to have a lock around, worth the wait, I think. In here in a pocket where I know just where it is and can easily get to it is the rain fly that'll entirely cover up the pack should it start pouring. You got to have that handy. I like to have hankies with me. A gentleman should have a proper clean handkerchief. So then you're on to the undies section. The undies section should be 6 or 7 pairs of ex officio undies. Let's count them. Today's count is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Wearing one 6, probably one short, so usually like to have a week's worth, including the pair you're wearing. Now, as far as shirts go, this is my airport shirt that I'll be wearing here. They're pretty good. Another rail rider's got a zipper in here. You open it up, it's got another zipper in there, and that's pretty good. So, moving on, we now have a couple of gadget bags. Now, there's too much to go into right now in there, but just suffice it to say there's lots of wonderful things, so you're going to have to tune in next time to examine the gadget bags and their wonders. Moving just a little further on the pack, we see we have a collapsible walking stick that at the top also comes off and has a threaded rod for a tripod, which you can use even for something as silly and little as this 5 megapixel camera, which I like to have in addition to a cell phone camera when I travel. It's not real heavy, not real fancy, but it has a viewfinder, so you can see you actually frame your pictures in the daytime. I like that. Wonder why they don't have more of those. Now in here, you're also going to need to pack your towel. Here's your towel. This is a Sea to Summit product again, and this guy is pretty good because it's more like a big giant squeegee, these kinds of towels, because they're not really that absorbent, but for fitting into that tiny little thing, that's not a bad thing to have. They do make them, so you might want to look into something like that. Gloves, yeah, it's going to get cold, so you can face it now and not show up with gloves or need them later. In here then, we have all kinds of wonderful things, which we'll rapidly go over. A little pack that you can put on your leg to keep the money in. You got sunscreen, you got business cards, you got your adapter, foreign currents. You have a squeeze bottle, you've got cough medicine. You have a couple of different belts rolled around a very ultralight titanium stove, which runs off of alcohol. So you actually have a second option for stove if you don't have that canister, and you have some alcohol in your pack, which is a good thing to have. Another good thing to have is a SteriPen that actually will sterilize water. And when we get over to the day pack, that'll show you that that's why you gotta have the big water bottle, so that can fit in there to sterilize your water. I've used it successfully in a lot of countries, and it's not so much that I don't want to buy water, but you don't even know where that water that you bought has been. You know, I mean, you see Slumdog Millionaire? Enough said. This is a pretty handy little item right here. Say you're traveling and you're really in a sketchy place. Okay, you're paying $10 a night. What do you expect? So if you turn this little guy on right here on the back, you will see that if this thing is tripped, once it's under the door, well, maybe it works the other way. Okay, you turn it on here. Now if anybody opens the door, it should... Of course, you got to turn it on. Oh yeah, anybody opens the door, it should, and that's enough to wake you up. So that's a pretty handy thing to have along with you. Gadgets-wise, hand cleaner, good to have. Wooden spoon, something about being able to stir the pot with a wooden spoon. Now the real good thing to have is a thing to boil water. You plug right in the wall, boil water in your room. You can use those Mountain House things, dump it in there, and there's your dinner if you don't feel like going out someplace. Spongy beer coolers, they're great to have. You never can have enough of those. Then we have a little Repel 30 anti-mosquito stick, which isn't bad. And gosh, it's getting warm in here, so thank heavens I brought a fan. And with that, we'll move on to the day pack. Day pack, it's supposed to zip onto there, and it will if there's nothing much in there, but if you're not going to put much in it, why have the day pack and use it? A couple pairs of glasses, some earphones. Wireless earphones are really good to have, the noise canceling ones. This is 6 different spices, including hot chilies and sugars and cayenne peppers and salt and pepper. Shoehorn is a good thing to have with you. If you've got low shoes and you're in the bus, a lot of times you're going to want to take your shoes off. I keep a waterproof container right here most of the time so that I can put my IDs in there. You know, you get my copies of your credit cards and passport. Keep it waterproof because you just don't know what might happen. So flashlights are good to have. I usually like to keep lots of stuff clipped to that clip so I can find it, including hand cleaner. Pretty essential traveling. Use it. You got it. Clip-on book light, pretty good LED. And this is the Petzl headlamp. Nice little case that it comes in. It's totally swivel ball bearing, which is really nice. And then it's got the lamp, the blinker, And then the red light as well for night flashing if you're wearing it on the back of your head for a bicycle. And you can use the other ones forward because you never know what might happen when you're, say, in Mendoza, sampling those wine vineyards, sampling those vineyards and the wines and hopping on your bicycle and going to the next one and it gets dark. You just never know, things happen. Earplugs, lots of earplugs. Really, you got to get the good ones, the solid ones, the cylindrical ones. The tapered ones never work as well for me. Floss, got to have it. Emergency Band-Aid medical kits. A little change purse is real good to have. I mean, right now I think there's probably Brazilian coins in here, or who knows. Yeah, some country other than here, probably Colombia, which is good because that's where I'm going first. Okay, so bumbling right along here, and sometimes I keep a jog called the Journal of the Bumbling Tourista, if you ever want to check that out. Here is a rare Tabasco sauce with the IATSE International logo on it. This is good to keep for your chip bags or bread bags. You just put it right in there and clip it, and that's worth having with. As well as, you know, the repelling, the insect repellent, really good to have. Loctite is not a bad thing to have a little bit along. You can actually, should you really do something really stupid, you can glue your flesh back together with that. And little breath mint strips, always handy to have because, after all, you don't want to be a jerk sit next to somebody with bad breath. A comb, if those of you who need it. So that's in that compartment, as well as the couple pairs of spectacles live in there. Your wireless earphones also are in there. So, coming on to the main pack. Oh, also on the side, we have that big water bottle that you saw, but we also have this, that they use them in China a lot, and they're great. If it's really hot outside, I don't know why you don't see these in this country as much, but this little teeny tiny thing turns into a pretty good sized umbrella that reflects the sun as well as keeps the rain off you. So, moving along. Coming down into here, on the other side, this is a really good sized flask. I don't know why people don't make these more all the time. They're hard to find. They're a tough plastic, and they're made by the GSI, it looks like. And they're in Spokane, Washington. GSI Outdoors. And they're a pretty good product. They're polycarbonate, that's what the word is. Just good to have. Cap, good to have. Especially under that raincoat with the poncho. If it's really pouring out, you know, if you're playing Lawrence of Arabia and it's on some boat or some raft trip, and you didn't want to bring the big thing because it's going to blow off, and you can have this, and you could actually pin it and keep it secure if you needed to. Now, the added adventure, nice thing about this one is you can just take that off without, don't have to look like Florence of Arabia all the time. And there you've got a decent bike hat. For me, I got to have more protection all the time. Hanky, good to have emergency. Now, multiple uses of things. This is a particularly good Eagle Creek little side cooler. Sometimes you go out, you don't want to carry a whole big pack or the belly pack. But if you take this one and put the flask in there, you got something that hugs your body pretty good. Be right back. So another thing, speaking of traveling, that you want to have with you is this is called a pack safe. If you look closely, you can see that there is little grooves in there. And those are 16th inch stainless steel wire. And inside there, you've got a change pocket for in here. I keep a pen. I usually keep a couple emergency photographs for sometimes at borders, you never know. And the country cards of where you're going. If you've been there before, as I have on these ones, you have SIM cards that you can just plug into your phone and start using. You probably still got credit on the account. It's only been a couple of years. Some credit cards. I use a couple bank cards. Be aware, you know, if you're in a bar, that's carrying your whole liability of that account because they have been known to use drugs, the old Black Widow scheme. Okay, moving along. So anyhow, this has got stainless steel wires. You can see all the way through it. So you wear the thing on here, and it has a lock right here that will lock the end of the wire on. Okay, so you can, nobody's going to come up and cut it off you very easily without a fight. There's also the inside compartment credit cards, which you don't want to keep a lot of, and you want to limit your exposure to risk. Passport usually is in this pocket right here. I'm bringing this one with just because it was, I ran out of pages actually for China because somebody stamped it in the back, but that's another story. But anyhow, I got the Bolivia visa on there. Passport's always good to have with you. Even a spare expired one like this, I'll be able to keep that someplace like in this pack and have my real one down here. So if I do get ripped off and they do take the pack, they do have a gun here. It's all yours. Take what you want. At least you're still covered. So you want to try to cover yourself as many ways as you can as far as that goes. But enough of that. Getting back to this pack here, this is the belt that goes with this. You can wear it on your waist, clip stuff on. Now, I said it was getting cold. Where's the heavy winter stuff? Well, it's right here. This is a nice little one of those little down sweaters that comes out. Pretty comfy. Patagonia makes them. You know, North Face, a whole bunch of people make them. But they're pretty nice, light, handy. And the nice thing about this is when you take that and combine it with this other heavier jacket here, you've got something that's pretty good insulating layer, especially if you have this vest here. Now, the vest is good. However, if you take this right here, and this is one, as I say, dual use of things, take that, put it in there, roll that all on up. That looks pretty comfy, doesn't it? That's when you pull out your pillowcase, which you've taken from a regular sized pillow, just simply cut down and sewn, doubled up on the flap to make a flap on there. Then you stuff that in there and oh, you've got a really comfy down pillow. It's one of the two pillows that I like to travel with. But you know what? I like a lot of pillows, even like a Huggy, but that's a really good comfy pillow. So that one just came right out of this day pack. In addition to it, its brother right here, if I happen to be sleeping someplace out, I like to have my own pillows. So you take this one. This is made by Eno. And this is a pretty good one right here. Boom. See this little stuff sack? You can also put your wallet in there, zip that up, stuff that all back inside itself, and have that passport or whatever right under your head, because your head's going to be on this Nemo air. Inflate to desired firmness. Put it there. Now, same thing with this. So that's locked up. Well, you don't want to just sleep on that and just have it get grody, right? So you do the same thing with this. You just gotta be careful which way you put the folds. Otherwise you'll be sleeping on the folds. So you put it this way. If you want to put more clothing in there to beef it up a little, you could. That's an option. Same thing as this one. Folds over. There's your two pillows. And I'm sleeping any place and I'm comfy. I got the sleeping bag, a mat to lay on, a really hard bed. Yeah, go to China, you'll find some. So that's a third one. You can actually stuff with clothes and make a third pillow should you need to. Okay, moving down, a really good thing to have at airports and traveling in general, hostels. One of these with the double USBs and 3 outlets. You plug it into a regular outlet and everybody's got juice. You're a hero. Always nice to be a hero. Now again, doubling up, this is a Green Bay Packers Go Pack Go. But I'm using it to carry the power adapters for the Micro Soft Surface Pro little tablet. So anyhow, also essentials in here. A little rain coat is good. Take one of your food savers, vacuum a little toilet paper in there and keep some toilet paper with you all the time. Always good to have. The blinders, got to have the blinders. Backup section of earplugs is in the blinders. Blinders and earplugs essential for any hostel. Getting in a little further, here's a cutting board. A little tiny, light, thin, worth the ounce that it weighs. In here, notebook, got to be able to write stuff down. Several pens, flashlight. Again, it's nice to have something a little small that you can get to and use in a hurry. This particular one is crenellated on the side, so it could be a striking object, much the same as this, which is perfectly legal, but that's a pen. So it's good to have just some stuff, a couple little widgets, regular other pens there. This is great for spreading your peanut butter if you need to and eating stuff in a pinch. Take this with one of the wet wipes and wipe her down and you're good to go. You can eat right there. Now if it pours outside, this is another little pack cover that entirely covers the pack, keeps you dry. And that's important, my friend. This particular one is loaded up for a one-day stopover in Bogota on the way to Peru. So I'm just bringing a spare pair of socks and undies. I like to have rope. Now this is an also handy little item right here. This is called a DEFCON, which you can set to your combination right here. Pull that out, put it around your luggage through a handle or whatever you want to. And then you simply, by pushing that button, you're activating it. It'll beep like here. Now, if anybody were to cut that line, now the reason that's what would happen. Or move it. So that's a really good thing to have. You can also adjust the sensitivity so that it's more sensitive. You could theoretically hang it on your doorknob and not bring that, but I kind of like the physical stopping with the alarm kind of helps you out there. And I always like to have rope around. You just never know what you might need to tie on where. One of these little micro cloths is a really good thing to have. And another USB converter port. Your Surface Pro would go in there, and or your iPad should you decide to bring it. And that's pretty much your day pack. And that kind of wraps up what a normal boy takes on a trip with Kevco. See you next time. We'll talk about the packs. Bye. One more thing. You know, you gotta have your scale with you. These are cheap scales, they're like $10. They're great though. You gotta have, I don't like the electronic ones. Battery's gonna die when you need it the most. If you're traveling a lot of borders, you're picking up some souvenirs, t-shirts, whatnot. And hey, if you're traveling for a fair amount of time and you got a fair amount of weight with you, you're gonna want the scale. Worth the wait. Thanks a lot. See you next time.